The diesel particulate filter is an important component of us removing harmful emissions, but these units have some hidden costs that the manufacturers kind of fail to disclose. We have a bit of a conspiracy theory going on, but these costs impact vehicle performance, vehicle maintenance expenses, and also the long-term reliability of said vehicles. Here are the key hidden costs and things to consider when you are looking at a vehicle that has a DPF. We start with increased maintenance costs. The DPF itself on passenger vehicles is not the servicing part, but for it to work, you need all the other things on the vehicle to be in top condition. This leads us to ensuring that the maintenance on the vehicle is kept up to date, and here we need to use oils that are really high quality, low ash, good quality filters, and ideally we would have a strict servicing schedule. The hidden factor becomes the fact that the manufacturers, in order to sell to their biggest customers, which are corporate fleets, they are prescribing really high servicing intervals. This is a good thing for the fleet because they spend the least amount of money, but overall, after the warranty period, after the fleets are using a vehicle, the people that are buying these vehicles on the second part of their life will more than likely face really expensive repair bills. Fuel efficiency penalties. An active DPF regeneration will burn additional fuel to reach the high temperatures needed to burn that soot. Soot being the bad stuff that the DPF catches. The costs, DPF regeneration will add 3 to 10% of fuel usage, especially for the people that are taking short drives and that are not doing additional highway mileage. The hidden factor, increased fuel consumption over the lifespan of a vehicle, adds to an additional significant cost of the ownership. Shorter component lifespan. What's the story? The DPF systems add complexity and stress to other components, such as the engine itself, the turbocharger, the EGR, and maybe even the catalytic converter. The costs, premature failure of any of these components requires expensive repairs. The hidden bit is that many of these components are interdependent. Something that is a DPF issue can cause a domino effect of failures. We start with a simple thing like a splice in a vacuum hose or a sensor that is dirty, and that can lead to other components failing and the bills get really high really fast. We move on to the complexity of repairs. The technology behind DPF systems is sophisticated and it is getting even more sophisticated. Euro 5, 6, 7 vehicles are fitted with more complex sensors, and working on them requires diagnostic tools and training. Long are gone the days where you would just go swap a sensor and everything would be okay. Now you need to program sensor, recalibrate systems, and do all sorts of specific steps to ensure that the system works. The hidden cost or the additional cost becomes the fact that repairs and troubleshooting takes longer and more expensive tools are needed. More expensive sensors are used. The hidden factor becomes the fact that not that many technicians have the skill set required, and if someone just fits a sensor or a component and does not follow the right procedure, this might lead to additional things getting replaced unnecessarily. Also, many garages, due to this complexity, will refuse to do jobs, especially for private customers, because a big repair bill is something that the private person usually does not really accept. Limited effectiveness of DPFs for short trip drives. The DPF rely on reaching high temperatures to regenerate, which rarely occurs during short trips or start-stop driving. The additional costs of owning a vehicle that does short trips will translate to chronic clogging with soot on the intakes and on the vehicle, which leads to expensive carbon cleanup procedures and should require frequent servicing that is not always performed and leads to DPF failure. The hidden factor here is that these issues are known and should be told to potential drivers, especially the ones that will be using these vehicles in urban situations. Many people are missold the wrong car. They should be getting a petrol. Potential for engine damage. The story behind it is that the problematic DPF will cause oil dilution, exhaust back pressure, overheating, gasket failure, and all sorts of other problems to the vehicle. Engine repairs that are caused by DPF-induced problems will be something hard for many people to accept. The risks of having these types of vehicles never has been marketed, or people bought the vehicle now and found out later all of these problems. We kind of reached the end of my list of hidden costs for DPFs, but for sure there are other costs that some of you have experienced and could let me know in the comments below. Maybe we find an interesting topic for a future video. Overall, at least for me, after working for so many years on vehicles, I consider that some of these problems can be avoided by reducing the servicing intervals and increasing the servicing that you're doing on a vehicle. This translates for me as doing the oil changes every 6,000 miles or 1 year, and ensuring that you're doing a fuel filter change every 12,000 miles. Also, look into your driving habit. If you're driving only short distances, include some highway trips once a week, once every 2 weeks, to ensure that the DPF is performing its regeneration. Now, if all of these tips do not seem practical for you, consider getting rid of the diesel and getting a petrol. This being said, additional content regarding DPFs can be seen here, or additional content regarding tools that can diagnose DPF and electrical issues can be seen here.